My wife was a masterpiece of deception. Seated across the courtroom, she was a portrait of serene motherhood, hair in a perfect chignon, voice a gentle murmur of rehearsed lies. Her lawyer, a shark in a tailored suit, was painting me as a monster in a button-down shirt, unstable, volatile, a danger to our child. I remained silent, a statue carved from ice. I didn't need to fight her fire with fire. I had something better. I had the truth. And truth doesn't need to scream. It just needs to be heard. The judge, a man weary of domestic wars, peered over his glasses. The court will hear from the child. My daughter, all of 6 years old, walked toward the bench. Her tiny hands clutched her tablet, its case a chaotic collage of unicorn and rainbow stickers. She glanced at me, her eyes wide, and then at the woman who had birthed her. "Your Honor," she said, her small voice cutting through the tension, "can I show you my movie? Mommy doesn't know I made it." The judge hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty on his face, then gave a slow nod. My daughter's small finger tapped the screen. The courtroom speakers crackled to life. First, there was a child's innocent laughter. Then another sound bled through. A woman's voice, sharp and venomous, a tone that had never been used to tuck a child into bed. My wife's placid smile didn't just fade, it shattered. The decay had started months ago. A hairline fracture spider-webbing beneath a flawless surface. She became a stranger who wore my wife's face, her every word a calculated move on a chessboard I hadn't known we were playing. The we in our marriage became a solitary I. I noticed the small tells, the new, cloying perfume that wasn't for me, the hushed phone calls that ended the moment I entered a room, the way her touch felt less like affection and more like a stranger's apology. The proof came in the form of a folded hotel receipt I found in her coat pocket. 1 room, 2 glasses of champagne. She spun a story about a late-night client meeting. I smiled, nodded, and let the lie settle between us. Rage is a storm. It passes and leaves destruction in its wake. Information, however, is a foundation. You can build on it. So I became a ghost in my own home, a collector of her sins. I documented her patterns, her absences, her lies. Each deception was a breadcrumb leading me down a dark path. That path led me directly to her assistant, a man whose loyalty was clearly purchased with more than a salary. Their text messages weren't just about an affair, they were a blueprint for my destruction. I didn't confront her. I let her spin her web, unaware that I was watching every thread she laid. When the divorce papers were served, she played the wronged wife with Oscar-worthy conviction, accusing me of being controlling, paranoid, a threat to our daughter's safety. She had no idea that I'd already backed up every message, every photo, every damning piece of her secret life. One piece of evidence, however, chilled me to the bone. It was a video, filmed by accident from underneath a blanket. My daughter's soft breathing could be heard as my wife spoke to her lover on speakerphone. "He'll never know," she whispered, her voice dripping with contempt. "He's too weak to fight me. I'll paint him as the villain, and by the time this is over, he won't even recognize himself." That's when I understood. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about survival. I let her drag me into court. I let her believe she was in complete control, that I was the broken man she described. I let her spin her web, brick by brick, lie by lie, because I knew the final act belonged to our daughter. As the video played in that silent courtroom, her voice filled the space like poison gas. "He's pathetic, you know. I can make him look like a monster, and the court will believe me." The camera's view shifted, and there she was, laughing,
a wine glass held aloft. Beside her, her lover, the man she had sworn was just a colleague, smiled back. A collective gasp swept through the gallery. The judge's gavel struck the wood with the force of a gunshot. My wife's composure disintegrated into dust. She whipped her head toward me, her eyes wide with a feral panic I had never seen before. You planned this?" I said nothing. My gaze was fixed on my daughter, who offered me a small, proud smile. She didn't grasp the war she had just won. She had simply wanted to show the judge her movie. In the parking garage, away from the prying eyes of the court, my wife finally cornered me. A mask was gone, replaced by a snarl. "You think this makes you a good father?" she hissed. "Using your own child like that?" I turned to face her, the cold calm inside me, an impenetrable shield. "You used her first, Laura. You taught her that secrets are kept in whispers in the dark. But you forgot one thing." She froze, her bravado faltering. "Children listen, and they never forget." Tears welled in her eyes, but they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of terror, the terror of a puppeteer who has had her strings cut. She was losing control, her most prized possession. "I can fix this," she pleaded, a desperate whisper. "No," I said, taking a step back as she reached for me. Her touch was a contamination I could no longer endure. "You built this prison, Laura. I just handed you the key." I was awarded full custody. Her carefully constructed world imploded. The whispers at the country club became a roar. Her friends vanished like smoke. Her lover was a ghost by the time the ink on the verdict was dry. She lost everything she had used to measure her own worth, her image, her power, her narrative. I never celebrated,